What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another video. In one of my previous shorts, one of y'all asked me if it was possible to replace just the ribbon cable in the top screen here. So today we're going to be looking at that, and we're also going to take a look at some different screen issues, do some troubleshooting, and see if we can't get them fixed. Let's get into it. The first system I have here is a gray DS Lite. It's got a busted shell. You can tell this one's had a lot of love, and you can see that that top screen isn't wanting to work. I've noticed that if you press it in the right place, the screen will kind of come on for a few seconds, but it won't stay on. So I'm thinking that if I get in here and adjust that ribbon cable, it might stay on. So I think it's worth trying out. And this is the same process just like with every DS Lite. You gotta flip it around, take the battery out, unscrew all the screws. You've got all kinds of tri-wings and Phillips screws. And then after that, you'll be ready to pop the back off, just as I'm doing here. And once you've made it in, remove the shoulder buttons, and you've got two more screws that hold the board to the actual system. You can open it up, push from the screen, and there's your ribbon cables. The one on the bottom is for the top screen, and the one on the top is for the bottom screen. I know that's confusing. I'm just holding it upside down here. So I'm going to try to unhook that, clean it off a little, and see if we have any luck. And if you're doing this at home, make sure you're very gentle with that ribbon cable. Where they're so old, they're easy to tear, but if you do it gently, you'll be fine. So at this point, I went ahead and cleaned the ribbon cable, and I also cleaned the connector. I'm just plugging everything back in, and I'm going to show you all how you can test it without putting the system back together. Once you've got that cable locked in, you can go ahead and flip the board down, and then just press the battery where it's normally sitting, and then you can flip the console on. And unfortunately, it looks like that didn't fix the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart, pull the screen out, and take a look at the actual cable under a microscope. Now this part of the disassembly is where it starts to get tricky. There's a few screws there in the top left, and that holds the bottom shell to the top shell, and that part's not bad, but there's a little slot right here that you can slide that ribbon cable, and you just pull it out. And then from here, there's 4 screws that hold the 2 parts of the top shell together, and you just take a little razor blade and pop those out. I'm not too worried about scratching this because it's already a broken shell anyway. But once you get those screws undone, you have to kind of press and slide. You can see it moves there, and then pop it apart. And then that screen can be pretty tricky, but just press it kind of hard and it'll come out. And then I like to pull the 2 cables through. And after that, you're just going to want to roll that ribbon cable. And I'm going to show you a little closer here. You want the actual connector to be on the inside, and then you roll it. You have to be gentle, but not too gentle. They are tough in certain ways. Once you do it a few times, you'll kind of get a feel for it. But once you roll it up like a little taco, you can just slide it through. I know I'm not in a very good frame there, but you get the gist of it. And upon inspecting it here, I can see a few little spots, and I'm not really sure if that's just dust or corrosion, so I'm going to throw it under the microscope and show y'all what I see. So here we go, and as you can see right there, there's a tiny little speck, and you wouldn't think something that small could make a difference, but you would be surprised. But that's not the only issue. As we go up a little bit, you can see a bigger speck and then a large section of corrosion. And I'll flip it around and show you the other side here in just a second. All those little lines that you see making up the cable, those are all called traces. And if there's any kind of corrosion or break in those, it'll cause any kind of issue with the screen. So that's what we're seeing there, and that's why the screen isn't working. So even though the screen might be good, the ribbon cable is bad, which renders this useless. And the second system that we have here is a black DS Lite that's actually in beautiful condition, other than its 2 bad screens. So we're going to crack it open just like the last one, pull those shoulder buttons out and undo the screws here. And before I actually open this one up, we got to undo these wires. That white one's the microphone, and then the black one is the Wi-Fi chip, I believe. And from there we can unhook the top screen and then unhook the bottom screen. And I'm sorry for these angles. I know I'm a little bit out of frame. I'll try to work on that in the future. And that bottom one looked fine, so I just slid it back in. And there on the back, I just pulled out the Wi-Fi chip, and there's another tiny ribbon cable there, and that's the digitizer. That's what makes the touchscreen work. And then I put the Wi-Fi chip back in, put the top screen back on, and let's test her out. Got the top screen fixed, but could not fix the bottom. Now, after doing a little bit of research, I found out that it is possible to change that ribbon cable, but it is not plausible. And I'll show you why. You've got that brass cable there, and then all of those traces run back into the screen, and all of that is heat sealed and kind of welded in the factory, and most people just don't have the equipment to do such a repair. And you can see what I'm talking about here with those cables running way back in the screen. But I will mention, I have seen people do trace repairs. So if there's just a little break in one of the traces, you can go in and kind of scratch the protective layer away and solder a little piece. That is possible, but that repair takes a great amount of skill. So if you have a bad screen, I would just recommend going on Amazon and buying a new screen. You can buy a top and a bottom for around $20 or individually for about $15 a piece. And with all that being said, I'm going to show you a few common issues that I've run into. The first issue, if your screen is flashing on for just a second, the first thing I always like to check is making sure that my top ribbon cable is seated well. And you can see here, it's turning on now. That top screen is not working, so just kind of ignore that. But always make sure that both of your ribbon cables are seated properly and clean, and also the connectors there. Another pretty common issue can be with that Wi-Fi chip. You can see I just knocked it loose, and I'm putting the battery back in. I'm going to show you what you'll normally see if that's the problem. Flipping the power switch, and you can see that I get a green light, but no reaction on either screen. So if you're having this problem with your DS, open it up, pull out that Wi-Fi chip, make sure everything's clean. You don't want any dust, no corrosion, and you also want to make sure that it's firmly placed. And after all that, you might want to try replacing it if you have a spare. And another problem that I've run into quite a bit is bad fuses. So if you're getting a similar issue where you turn the power switch on and there's a little flash of power, but then it goes off, you can see there's a fuse that I'm pointing to here. And then there's one up by the charging port, and those can blow pretty easily. And it is difficult to replace them, but it's possible. All you need is a soldering iron and some tweezers. And I know if I can do it, you all can do it. Another thing, I'm showing you the clamp here. You can check all the connections there, make sure your little hatch is nice and firm, and make sure that it's, still there, because they are pretty easy to break off. But I guess the main takeaway, if you're having trouble with a ribbon cable, it's a whole lot easier just to go ahead and change the whole screen. And there you go. Hopefully you learned something, and if you did, let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoy this kind of video, leave me a like, and if not, well, at least you got to see me struggle with the small screws. I'm also going to mention the giveaway again. I'm wanting to do a giveaway once I reach 500 subs, and that'll be for a custom DS Lite. But I've also been contemplating doing one for 100 subs and just do a regular DS Lite that I've repaired here on the channel. If that's something that you all want to see, you got to show me some love down in the comments, and we'll try to make it happen. But again, thanks for watching, and you all have a good one.